Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards and welcome back to another Project Life video. I am working through my 2024 album and continuing to add photos and details to the pockets. So for this one, I've got a couple different inserts going on. This is week 42, which means I have 10 weeks left to do in 2024, which is super exciting. For this particular week in October, I had a bunch of photos. So you can see that I've got a 6x12 insert, and then I had a couple, just like two spots open for cards, 2 or 3. I think there's another one on the other side. So I'm going through my stash of sentiment cards, so cards that have a quote on them or some words on them, and picking out a few to add into the spread. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use, there's a pattern paper that's there on my desk that says "This Happened," and that is from our travel collection last year. And as I was linking up supplies for this one, I noticed that travel collection set of pattern papers is actually on sale. So that's something that you can grab from the shop if you're interested in that. It's a really cute collection of papers, lots of them that can work for a variety of different documenting and not just travel. And so you'll see how I'm going to use that in a minute. The other sentiment card there, the large one, is from the Savor Story Kit, and we do have that available outside of the subscription now as well. I'm going to add, or I did add, an Avery Index tab there to the 6x12 insert. I'm going to be pulling a few things from the October Stories by the Month kit. This again is from 2024. I think I might have a few things in there from a previous Halloween kit, and then maybe an older Stories by the Month kit too. I'm going to use the October Stories. I'm going to use my rolling date stamp and stamp on top of there. This has been very similar to how I've used all of these date cards throughout the rest of the year. So in this particular one, like I said, I'm going to be adding my words onto the 6x8 paper, pattern paper, instead of adding words onto cards that would go into the pockets. And I kind of really like the idea of using some of my 6x8 pattern papers as inserts for these. One of the things that it does is it allows me to add more photos, so fill more of the pockets with photos, and then utilize those pattern papers as a home for my journaling. In this particular case, you can see right there I'm adding a large full-page photo to the back, and then on the front I will be adding on the "This Happened" paper. On the inside is going to be a spread that I put together for the Grit Story Kit, which is a story kit that's also now available in the shop outside of the subscription. So one of the things that I decided I wanted to add onto this page that's going to hold my stories from this week are numbers. Big fan of stamping numbers. This particular stamp set we don't have available anymore, so I've linked you in the supply list to another option that is a 4x6 number stamp set. And like I said, I'm just using StazOn. Love the black ink, love the bold look of that. And then I will be grabbing a pen to add my journaling directly on here. So for when I am adding the journaling, what I'm essentially doing is I'm just looking at each of the photos and then jotting down a little bit of information about what was happening during this particular week. Definitely different kind of storytelling than when you are doing it in real time. So this is definitely more of a looking back way of telling the story, and there's not a right or a wrong way, right? There's just different ways of approaching these. So as I'm doing this, I'm just writing a little bit, like the top card or the top image there was from my One Little Word project last year. So writing a little bit about that. I'm going to be writing about how at this point in time I was working on storyteller kits, designing storyteller kits last year, making barbecue nachos, which are so good if you haven't had that. We had some pork. I think it was barbecue pulled pork, but then we added additional barbecue sauce on top of it, and that was really good. This is also the week that I participated in jury duty for the first time and actually got picked to be on a jury. It ended up being a 1-day criminal trial, and it was super interesting, and I was fascinated by the process, and it was something that I wanted to do for a long time, and I've been called a a few times in the past, but because of my situation with my business and my kids, especially when they were younger, it was just didn't work. And so I was really excited to finally be able to have time and space to be able to participate on a jury. So I'll be writing a little bit about that. I'll be writing a little bit about how it was homecoming. That's what the photos in the middle insert are. I also am writing about, I'm sure there's some volleyball. Oh yeah, there was, because it was a big game that Anna's team was playing a larger local school, and they won, and it was really exciting. And so there's this picture of me jumping all around everywhere. But yeah, I really liked this way of collecting my stories from the week. So if you've never done it this way, where you've got, where you decide to fill in all of the page protectors with photos, and then you have, pick one of your 6x8 pattern papers as an insert, it's really kind of a fun way to approach the storytelling. All right, and then after I finished that one up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere that down. This is one of the times where I used one of our page attachers, the plastic page attachers that's on the spread there from the Grit Story Kit. Sometimes with the Story Kit in the past, when I've made 6x8 pages, sometimes I put them into a 6x8 album, and sometimes I add them into Project Life. I don't really worry too much or think too much about it. I think in this case, I knew that I wanted to add in a couple of other 6x8 pages here, and so it made sense to just add this one inside. It's a story about Simon and the grit that he shows in his grit and determination that he has shown in his own life. So love having that inside there. I'm going to trim off a little bit around the edges, and then I was looking for something to add on to this full page photo that I did of the Northern Lights, and this actually happened the week before, but I didn't have another insert that I wanted to add in on the previous week, so it's getting added in here. This was an amazing opportunity that we had when we were driving home from a volleyball game for Anna that was a couple hours away, and as we were driving back, it was like 10 p.m. at night, and I was thinking about how I had heard that we might be able to see the Northern Lights, and so we pulled over on the side of the road in a very dark mountainy area, because that's how you drive to the location where we were at. And I tried with my phone, because I had read that you could use your phone and your phone could capture it, maybe even when your eyes couldn't see it. And this is not something that normally happens here. I think within the last year, there have been a couple times, there have been twice, and I don't remember actually it happening previously where they were visible this far south. But looking at my phone photos, it was amazing. It was like one of the coolest things. I've always wanted to see it. It's so weird that our phones can see it, even though our naked eyes can't see it. It was pretty awesome. So adding that in here as a reminder, and not worrying about the fact that it was actually happened the week before. Like, those are kind of lots of the things that I'm not worrying about these days, and letting those kind of things go. All right, so another thing that I'm doing here, I wanted to add a stamp onto the Avery Index tab, and a lot of times I look for whatever is closest to me on my desk, and I had Pieces of Us stamp set was sitting there, and so I'm stamping Life with You on top of two sides of that, so that I can slip it into the Avery Index tab, which is still one of my favorite things to add in there. And then I'm going to grab one of these paper glitter stars. Those were from December Daily last year, and I'm going to add that right on to that card. That fact card right there, the fact journaling card, that is from a One Little Word mini kit. We do have some of those available as well, and I've linked all of the supplies that are available for you guys in the supply list. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the supply list in the video description, and if you're watching this on the blog, obviously you can see it at the bottom of the blog post. The other thing that I did decide to do on here, I knew that I wasn't going to add embellishments onto the photos this time. I just didn't feel like doing that. But as I got to the end, I was like, yeah, I still want to add something. So I decided to grab one of my Micron permanent pens, and I'm just writing a little reflection, a little detail on each one of the photos, looking for a little place that I can tuck some words in on a photo. So maybe it goes around the coffee cup or went around the photo of the button. This is something I think that is a fun way to add a little bit of something onto your photo without adding additional bulk or, having to think through the embellishments. It can kind of just be fun to add a little bit of additional context directly onto the photo. So that's what I'm doing here using that Micron pen. I think the pen weight of that one was a 0.05. Sometimes I like the 0.03 or 0.01 better, but this was the one that I had available to me, and I'm going to go in and add a little bit of detail on a couple of these photos as well. I also have been working on week 43, so that one I should have ready to share with you guys soon. It's another pretty simple one, keeping it simple and straightforward. And I think as I get closer to the end, I'm probably going to continue doing them in a pretty simple manner. It's motivating and it's really making me excited to wrap up this project and make a little space for some new projects to come. All right, you guys, we'll see you back here again soon.